Hello and welcome back. I am now joined with the wonderful Martin Miller from Aligned Development. Now, before I say anything further, I'm just going to let Martin introduce himself because he knows more about what he does than I do, and he's going to say it way better than I can. So, Martin, hello.
Thank you, Vicky. You would like to think that's the case. Okay. Yeah, thank you. My name's Martin Miller. And what's really interesting is that when I know that I'm going to be catching up with you soon, I think I might get altitude sickness because we come from Cornwall all the way up to your part of the country, which is super cool. Aligned Development, I support business owners to effectively create really decent frameworks to support them as they kind of evolve through their business. Yeah, really straightforward, practical, no fuss, no drama, just what you see is what you get. That's my approach.
And I love that approach. I really do. Like, genuinely, just
Thank
give
you.
it to me straight. Don't give me fluff. Don't give me bullshit. Just tell me the facts, and then we'll run with it. If
Yeah,
you
for sure.
start giving me all the other gumph, my brain goes blur, not listening. What
Yeah.
did they say? Totally zoned out. Not even interested. I'm a very straight to the point kind of person, so I appreciate that, Martin.
Not a
And
problem at all.
something that intrigued me a little bit was aligned development, because obviously what we're doing with the Business Ascension Symposium and Awards is we're bringing together a community of people that actually use their spirituality in business. And in terms of business development, you don't really hear, outside of myself and a few others, but in the really rare minority of people bringing in that aligned process to business development. So what inspired you to come into that world?
Being misaligned, if I'm honest, that's basically being misaligned. It was that it's a word that, I have various approaches, conscious intent to the way I do things and my focus. But alignment, when things were happening in business for me, myself, over the years, I worked myself for many years. I've had a few jobs here and there, but I've always been kind of self-reliant. And when I look at my timeline, the situations that people go, well, that was easy. No, that was in alignment because everything was lining up from a prosperity point of view, that there was a series of events that things happened. So I started thinking about when I've been recommended services, where I've recommended products and things didn't feel quite right, they were out of alignment. And it seems a really simple kind of thing to not notice, but equally, once you start to go, okay, so how is your development as an individual, but equally with your business and your service offerings aligned? Does it feel awkward? Does it feel like a little bit kind of fractious? Well, that's out of alignment. And it's either one way or the other. So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I I've spent a lot of my life being misaligned as well, which is what brought me into needing to find my aligned space of what works. And not only that, when I was working in employed roles,
Mhm.
being hired to go and do jobs, and I'd be like, but you need to do it this way. Like, we just do it this way and things will be easier. And I can't work to the way people tell me to work. I have to find my own way
For
of
sure.
doing it. It's just where my brain processes. So being out of alignment and being in alignment to me isn't a negotiable. It's an absolute freaking must.
Yep.
Um, but one thing that I found as well was that in business, if you haven't got that alignment, you can resist that alignment, or you can be in alignment and still face resistance. But if you are not in that aligned space, things just don't freaking work. They
You get stuck in cycles. Yeah. And it comes down to, yeah, equally what I've learned. And okay, I will never, hand on heart, I will never recommend or suggest something to someone that either I've not learned experientially or from a really bona fide source, meaning that I know that person that's experienced whatever it is, if it's a business development tip, if it's a tool, if it's a habit, if it's a pattern, if it's we're trying to manifest something into our world, because otherwise it is just bullshit. I'm not a theorist, I'm a practitioner. And the age that I'm at, which I'm not going to basically give away, perhaps I should do that. It's kind of what age do you guess that? Clearly my hairline defines certain kind of decade that I'm in. But it's the fact that when I've looked at things, I thought my foundations were set. This is why my talk is going to be based on those conscious foundations. And my foundations weren't right. They were right for somebody else. And it was cool for a certain period of time. May have been a few months, may have been a few years. But then things come crashing down. And when I started to pick the pieces apart, because I think you have to give critical thought to the elements that are in your world, and you go, okay, that was someone else's cookie cutter approach. That was someone else's thing. But then I think as we start to begin to, I'm not going to swear too much. Okay, well, I know you're a swearer. I think we're both swearers, but let's keep it down for a little bit. When you are slightly annoyed with oneself, and you start to look at all the elements of who you are, you go, I wasn't being true to myself. I wasn't following my heart. I ignored my intuition. Actually, those really sage advisors that weren't shouting the loudest, but they were just there in the wings, quietly supporting you. I didn't notice their little nods of, maybe you don't want to do that, or maybe you want to go this way, because we can be drawn to shiny. We can be drawn to things that we think, yeah, we'll throw our money at that. And we all know sunk costs. Okay. We all understand that principle. I put so much into this. Yeah. But sometimes you have to reel yourself back and go, how does it serve me at the center of my world? And we're conditioned I do believe that we're conditioned to do that. Anything to do with ourselves, that's selfish. No, 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 no. That's survival in this very busy world, in this very noisy online space, offline space. We need to look at ourselves. So how are we in alignment? And I have a model that if something doesn't fit into that, it doesn't get a look in. I'm respectful. I'm cool. That's super cool for that person. But if it doesn't fit with me, but as we start to kick more into alignment, and this is a long answer, but the more we begin to go, this is me, this is what I'm about, love it, hate it, whatever, this is how I'm going to be. And then you aren't second guessing yourself. And that follows through everything with business relationships, with communities, with whatever.
Mm. I
That's the
totally
short answer, I think, really.
that I totally agree. So you touched base on something there. So Martin is actually one of our keynote speakers for the symposium. Martin, tell us a little bit more about that keynote and why it's really important to be in the room to listen to it.
Nicely put in there. And clearly, I put my notes to remind myself of what you told me at the talk I was doing on as well, because there's so much that we can discuss on this. But I'm talking about aligned development for conscious business foundations. Okay, using systems, because there's some beautiful people in the world, but their voices aren't being heard. The markets they're in. And it seems that once we give people the confidence, the tech, the we're of a generation, we didn't have this stuff when we were younger. We've had to learn it, we've had to adapt to it. Our kids, it's second nature to them. They just kind of get on and they just do it. But understanding to make technology your friend, okay, to not to be afraid of it, get to use it. A lot of people I know want to have quite a transient lifestyle, meaning that as they move through their years, their responsibilities are getting less. That if they want to go off and travel, if they want to go and do something, and I know you love your motorbikes, okay, so if you literally want to say, I want to go off, but you can still operate your business in a very transient and fluid way. So we have to embrace tech and systems. And there's 3 points I'm going to be covering, which is clarity before action. And I am looking at my notes. Systems are sacred support. So think of them as sacred support for ourselves and our voicing what we're here to do, and grow through simplicity and rhythm. And there's that rhythm and that timbre of how we want to show up. Some people love to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just hit it. Others, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's understanding that. So yeah, there's 3 points that I'll cover off. But equally, I will encourage people to embrace their uniqueness. And okay, right, how can we align your systems, your business, everything you do, that you want to do it? Because there's nothing worse than when someone wants to do it, but someone's going, no, 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 you don't do it that way. Well, I won't swear, who the hell are you to tell me I shouldn't? But sometimes people don't have this confidence. And I think the confidence comes from making mistakes. If I'm honest, that's what happens. It's like, oh, okay, that didn't work out, because we all need feedback loop from life. Okay. Oh, okay. That didn't make a decision yet. Now, one way or the other. So yeah, 3 key points that I'm going to cover off. Very short, very succinct. And there will be some interaction there, because I don't want an audience to sit there and kind of go, well, watching paint dry is a little bit more exciting than this. That's not what it's going to be like. Okay. It will be, and I'm very animated in the way that I do things. It will be short, it'll be sharp, and it will be memorable.
Love it. I can't wait. I'm actually really excited for this particular keynote as well, because it's not often someone will confidently stand and talk about systems from an aligned perspective. And I think that's
Oh,
something
wow.
to really awaken the room.
Yeah.
Systems are always talking about bush, 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 do this, do this, do this, have it in that way and make that work. And I don't work like that as a human being. So I can't imagine my systems ever working like that. But other people don't necessarily think like that. So for this keynote to
It's
be
really interesting,
these spirits
actually.
and entrepreneurs, it's going to be a real interesting one
Yeah.
to have.
And it's really funny because it's actually, and I say it's really fun, thank you for saying that, because I've kind of stumbled across it. And I don't mean it's not, I didn't kind of think at the age of 21, oh, I'm going to develop in my 50s aligned development. It just naturally happened. It came from us having to support Kelly, my partner, figuring out stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, all those skills that I learned over the previous decades have all now started to come together to kind of go, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. And
Mm.
that takes us as British people to stand here and go, yeah, I'm good at that. It's like, no, own it, like really own it. Because if I'm encouraging others to kind of come into this vision of forward aligned movement, then, and one that if someone asks me something, and if you ever ask me something, Vicky, and I go, that's a really good question. I haven't got a clue. All right, I literally haven't got a clue. And I won't even bullshit it. I won't go down that route, but I will find out.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I'm going to have to process that and see where that leads us, is normally where I
Oh,
go.
that's so much more eloquent than mine,
I'm
isn't it?
like, that is a good question. It's not something I've thought about before, but let me get the cogwheels turning and I'll come back to you because
Exactly.
I will channel it. I will channel that answer and it just drops. And I'm like, oh, hello, that's a bit interesting.
This is what's really interesting. And you say channeling as well, because Kelly says to me, my partner, I know she's another one of the speakers and a good friend of a lot of people in the community. And she said, you do channel. I was like, yeah, maybe I do. Yeah. Because I'm kind of like, it's this intuitive feeling I have. And she went, yeah, you're channeling. And I'm like, okay, okay, maybe it is, and me being there's male energy coming into this spiritual space as well, is that I've always believed in higher forces. I've always believed in realms beyond the touchable and the tangible. And when
Yeah.
I first started stepping into the business space in the 90s, and business owners like, I used to walk into a room and I go, God, this feels strange. People go, what do you mean? It just doesn't feel right. Just doesn't feel right. I don't really want to be here. But yeah, I pushed through it. And that was misalignment. So this goes back decades. So yeah, yeah, listening to divine source is really quite interesting because that's the people I work with as well, because it changes, they channel, and I go, okay, so we were going in this direction. Now we're going in this direction. That's absolutely fine. That's cool. I'm super patient. The 30-year-old version of me might got a little bit pissed off, but actually now I'm a little bit calmer. Do you know what I mean? So it's that kind of understanding when you're working with people, they have to discover their alignment themselves, and we're here to support them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I was talking to someone just this week about something that we're doing in my business, and they were like, so how clear are you? And I thought, well, I'm pretty clear on what I'm going and what I'm doing, but I work really fast. And then it was like, okay, we've just thrown that spanner in there, which means that's got to change. And honestly, I just went, boom, we're done. We've got this. And sometimes it can, and when I'm with clients as well, I channel really quickly and it's like, okay, that's where they're going. And I strategize and I move them on. A lot of people don't have that ability to move that fast. So for me and my ADHD brain, when you're not moving that fast, I do get a bit like,
That's really
oh,
interesting as well, because we've had this conversation. Okay, now I'm clearly similarities here. I live with a partner who's exactly at that pace, and anything I say here is anything I would say with her if she was in the room. Although I've technically taken over her space at the moment because she's out, which she's clearly going to see. I'm very methodical. I'm
yeah,
very process driven. I can act quickly. Sometimes in my youth, it may have been recklessly, some people talked about, because I haven't got all the evidence. But equally, once I know that's the right decision, I'm all in. Okay,
yeah,
I'm 100%. And I think the ability to have people in your world, yourself as a mentor, and people that you're bringing along in the community and developing, is that understanding they don't all make quick decisions, but it has to be the right decision for them as well, I think. But yeah,
absolutely.
channeling as well. The speed with which you channel, I can imagine is quite incredible. Same as it is with Kelly. And there's a lot of people that I've observed in the spiritual space as well.
I have to admit, I never thought that I would do stand-up psychic readings for business at
Wow.
business events
Wow.
until I actually did it. Um,
Who prompted you? Did someone prompt you to do that?
So I was offered an opportunity to speak, but we
Mhm.
wanted something out the box. And I was like, right, what could I do? So I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to do, because I like engagement, I like interaction.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we're just going to touch base on this topic, but I am
Mhm.
going to psychically channel in the room and I'm just going to go wherever the client needs to go. 100% accuracy, loads of tears, lots of, oh, but if you told me I would be doing that, because I've always said I would never do platform work,
Okay.
well, I am, but I'm not doing it in the way that other people expect you to do it. I do it for business only. I
Yeah.
don't channel anything else. And but yeah, I mean the crazy things we do as spiritual people, that's just the way it is, isn't it? Can you imagine me
But
going to corporate?
yeah, but I think as well, that's a prime example, isn't it, of following flow.
Yeah.
you know, and
Completely.
you're in that flow state. Yeah. Crazy things that we do as spiritual people. I think that's a slight understatement. I think there's quite but that's the point, isn't it? You know, what are we considered? And I say I'm now beginning to embrace myself into this community more and more because we're rebels as far as a lot of people that operate within certain systems. And I like that, you know, and we're seeing now in the world where we need more spiritually rebellious people, not to upset things just to upset things, but to make people think to encourage people to think differently. Okay.
And we
Because
do
it's not,
need that in all areas.
yeah,
We
yeah.
need to be able to think differently. I mean, I know one of my big whys about what I do is I've got very spiritually awake children, and
That's super cool. That is, that's
you
super
know,
cool.
they will honestly sit and talk to me about situations or dreams that have come alive in real life. And
Wow.
I know this is going to happen, and I know this person has done this, this, and this, and they come home, they're like, I told you, mum, that was it. That was exactly it. And I just embrace that with them. But I know a lot of people, certainly in my childhood, it was never embraced.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I just look at them and I think, well, if you're this spiritually awake now, what are you going to be in 10 years' time? Because I'm working with you on this. I'm not shutting it down or suppressing it. So it's just going to continue to grow. But more importantly, how are you going to survive in the real world if we're not breaking down those doors and saying spirituality isn't just a woo-woo thing. It's a way of life, but the way they actually bring that into business enhances creativity, productivity, joy, passion, and actually increases success, which is everything we're going to talk about at the event. And I have just waffled now. So
No, no, not at all. Because what's really interesting is some of the phrases that people use, and you hear them, and it could be a DJ on the radio going, "Oh, you're channeling such and such," or "You're, oh, you know that feeling when you walked into a room," or "They're beside me. I saw them watching over it." So a lot of the things that we use in our language, society's already normalized, but people aren't noticing those things, and I think more and more people are. But bringing on the next generation, that's amazing. All right, then are going to meet your kids, so they're going to be at the event.
ah, you are indeed. Yes. So my children are going to be a part of this with us.
Oh, is your
Um,
daughter singing?
One of my daughters is going to be singing for us, so doing some entertainment to open up the ceremony in the evening. And my other daughter is going to be supporting our photographer and videographer as the assistant to help him with photos and photo booths and everything.
Oh, so therefore, if we need to get some photos of Vicky in the
Yes.
moment doing her thing, I need to have a chat with your daughters. And I was like, right, come on, how can we stitch mum up? All right. I mean, sorry, no, that's clearly not professional, but do you know what I mean? There's got to be some of those
Yeah,
moments.
yeah, cameras that they're not ready for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I am that swearer, so I'm going to swear on stage. I'm not going to hide it. It's
I think actually the first thing I should do when I spoke to you in the car the other day, and I think you were driving your daughter somewhere, and I swore, and I went, "Oops, I'm sorry." And then look, all parents know we swear. Okay, if people say they don't, then they're being bloody ridiculous, right? They're all being realistic. And I should always cover it. Someone's a hand free go, anyone in the room, car that I shouldn't be swearing in front of? And you were like, no, no, it's absolutely fine. What I do like about what you said there, Vicky, is it's a family interest. You
yeah.
know, it's something where because our kids are curious. Okay, look at the generations that have gone before, and look at a lot of them. I think are sat there going, okay, so what you followed this path, and I'm not saying in your instance or my instance, we're slightly different, I say to the majority, but the majority of leads that people expected to take, and the younger kids, they're going, so the example you're showing me is what? You know, so there's this kind of countering things about they're questioning societal norms, they're questioning being encouraged to live a life that isn't aligned. And I
Mm.
think sometimes as they become to intellectually understand their position and their connectedness, they will be able to stand stronger and firmer in their stance and question those kind of authoritarian things that are going, you should do this, you should do that. No, 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 no. I don't want to follow that flow. This is the route that I'm going. And that's beautiful because when then we are shaping the world a little bit more beautifully as each generation comes through. There you go. That went off on a very profound kind of like thread there, but I think that's what we're here to do.
I think so. I know my journey and my purpose is to bridge the gap between spirituality and business, and
Yes.
to make sure spiritual entrepreneurs are being valued and paid. That is very much my purpose on this, and I know that
I love that.
that couldn't have hit me further in the face if it tried. But if we don't start bringing spiritually curious minds into business, in corporate, B Corp, and everything else,
Yep.
we are going to be stifling the creativity of future generations. And ultimately, we're going to be further suppressing them. And I firmly believe that our human connection on this earth plane has been suppressed enough.
Massively so. And interesting you said about B Corp, because I believe there are generations within B Corp organizations that are already attuned. It's allowing them to kind of, because of the nature of the process that a company has to go through to do B Corp. And I haven't known many, but I've known a few that I've gone through, and the values that they, not, I know some companies do a tick box. I get it. Okay. I understand that. But the companies that I've known that have gone through it, the values that are through those companies, and they are, a lot of the time, if you say that they're heart-led individuals, they're, what do you mean? You know what I mean, okay? This is the nature, but you're right. Bridging that gap between spirituality, because we either follow this route or, wow, sorry, that's not a very nice thought, to not bridge the gap between business and spirituality. Imagine how the world would be then. Yeah, you're shaking your head. It's like, no, don't
It's not an
suggest that.
option, and that's why we're doing what we're doing with the symposium and the awards. So, Martin,
Yeah,
time's running away from us.
cool.
If you could say one thing about getting about someone who was maybe listening and going, "Oh, I need to be a part of this," but not sure what to do, what would you say to them?
Just get there. Literally, just get there. Don't overthink it. All right. Most of the time, we overthink it. We miss that opportunity that's just gone past.
Yeah,
Take that from someone that knows. Literally, just do it. Just get there. All right. Let's not have no expectation other than get yourself in the room, and you will be blown away. Okay, with what's going
absolutely.
on.
Absolutely love it. So thank you for that, Martin.
You're very welcome.
So can't wait to hear your keynote at the event in 3 weeks today.
Well, now,
And more importantly, where can people come and find you? Because something that you offer is what a lot of people need, aligned business development and systems. So where
thank
can
you.
they find you for that?
Simply aligneddevelopment.co.uk.
Perfect.
Okay, straightforward. Got a contact form on there. Make contact and let's have a conversation.
Absolutely. Go and follow Martin. Get yourself involved with the symposium and awards if you can. We have opened a waiting list for additional tickets. So give us a shout out, and we look forward to speaking to you all very soon and see you on the 16th of October.